Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Today we're diving deep into a story that is familiar yet profound. Genesis 27. It's a story of deception, divine purpose, and the sovereignty of God. It's also a story that teaches us vital truth about God's favor, how He perceives us, and how obedience unlocks divine blessings. The title of today's message is Favor Ain't Fair. This story involves Isaac, the son of Abraham, and his two sons, Esau and Jacob. It's a story that teaches us that God's favor is not something to be taken for granted, that God knows us better than anyone else, and that walking in obedience is the key to unlocking His blessing. Which brings me to my first point. Favor ain't fair. God's favor is a gift, not fairness. Genesis chapter 27 verse 1 reads, "And it came to pass that when Isaac was old and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau his eldest son and said unto him, My son. And he said unto him, Behold, here I am." At this point, Isaac, old and nearly blind, called Esau to bless him. This was tradition. Firstborn received the blessing, the inheritance, and the leadership of the family. It seemed fair and right in human terms. But here is the truth. Favor from God is not always fair in human eyes. The world often operates on fairness, what you earn, what you deserve. But God's favor is rooted in His divine sovereignty and purpose. Imagine a race where the last runner is declared the winner, not because they ran the fastest, but because the race organizers decided to honor the underdog. It's unfair by human standards, but it demonstrates that in God's kingdom, fair is about His divine choice, not human value. Many of us walk around thinking we deserve certain blessings because of our background, our hard work, or our status. But God's favor is a gift. His undeserved kindness in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8 through 9 reminds us, "For by grace are ye saved, through faith, not of works, lest any man should boast." Favor is God's grace, not a reward for good behavior or lineage. Here are two questions I want you to answer. Are you trusting in your own righteousness or good deeds to receive God's favor? Or are you humbly trusting that God's blessings are by His grace alone? Remember, favor ain't fair. Thank God for His undeserved grace. Moving on to my second point. Your Father knows who you are. God divine knowledge and purpose. Genesis chapter 27 verse 5 reads, "And Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son, and Rebekah spake to Jacob her son, saying, Behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy brother." Now Rebekah, Isaac's wife, knew that God already chose Jacob to carry on the promise. Yet Isaac, influenced by tradition and his own feelings, planned to bless Esau. This part of the story shows us that human perception is limited. Isaac, although sincere, was operating based on what he saw and felt. But God, who is all-knowing, had already made His choice. Think about a parent who has a favorite child. We all can admit that we all have that one favorite child besides me. Or a teacher who sees potential in a student others overlook. Human perception can be flawed, but God's insight is perfect. His knowledge of us is complete. He knows our strength, our weakness, our divine purpose. Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5 says, "Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee." God knew Jacob before he was born. He knew he would be the one to carry his promise, despite Jacob's flaws and deception. So when others overlook you or misunderstand you, remember, God knows who you truly are. Your true potential isn't based on what people see or say about you. Trust that God's divine insight sees your future, your calling, and your destiny. Which leads me to ask, are you feeling discouraged because others haven't recognized your gift or calling? Remember, God's knowledge of you surpasses human judgment. I encourage you to keep walking in faith, knowing that your Father knows who you are and what He has called you to do. Here's my final point. Obedience will bring you blessings, walking in God's plan. Jacob, following his mother's Rebekah's plan, deceived Isaac to receive the blessings. Though morally questionable, it was an act of obedience of his mother's instructions and ultimately obedience to the divine promise. But here's the key. Obedience to God's word and his plan is the pathway to blessings. Jacob's obedience, or in some cases, his willingness to act on divine instructions, positioned him to receive God's blessings, even though the means were complex. Think about Noah building the ark or Abraham's offering Isaac. Their obedience seemed risky or illogical, but it aligned them with God's divine purpose. Obedience isn't always easy. Sometimes it requires faith to step into the unknown. Romans chapter 6 verse 16 teaches us, "Know ye not that to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are." Obedience to God's words open doors to his blessings. So I ask you, are you walking in obedience to God's word today? Are you trusting his plans even when it's difficult? Remember, obedience may involve sacrifice, but it always leads to God's best. Obedience is the vehicle that carries us into God's divine blessing. In closing, when we choose to obey, even in the face of uncertainty, we position ourselves to receive his favor. Here's a recap. Number 1, favor ain't fair. God's favor is a gift, not something we earn or deserve. Number 2, your Father knows who you are. His divine insight sees your true potential and purpose. Number 3, obedience will bring you blessings. Walking in obedience align us with God's divine plan and open the door for his blessing. Remember, God's favor is not about fairness. It's about his grace. His knowledge is perfect. And obedience is the key that unlocks his blessings. I pray that this message has blessed you.